It's time for the 49ers to ask themselves what Bill Walsh and Eddie DeBartolo would do. What's up? Welcome to another weekend edition of Quality Control. I'm Grant Cohn. I'll be here with you for the next hour or so. I think it's a very interesting and critical time for the 49ers, for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and their 10-year run with the team, and also for the Yorks and the franchise as a whole. I mean, this is Super Bowl week, and it's really it's a presentation of what the 49ers have built in the last 25 years since the owners became the Yorks instead of the DeBartolos. And I think it's interesting, it's supposed to be like this coronation of the 49ers. Look at what a great football town this is, but game's not in San Francisco, game's in Santa Clara. The stadium shouldn't even be there. And it's quite possibly going to be the moment when the Niners' number one rival, the Seahawks, win another Super Bowl, except this time in the Niners field that shouldn't be there, with the quarterback who was on the Niners 2 years ago. So not exactly the presentation the Niners hope to give the world. It's kind of embarrassing. That's where the Niners stand. And now we got to talk about the people running the team. John Lynch, this is interesting. So I'll give you some history. The question is, will the Niners extend John Lynch? Because he's entering the final year of his contract. He is now a lame duck general manager, which is interesting. Let's do history here. It's been a long time. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan were hired together in 2017. Both were given matching 6-year deals, okay, through 2022. Then in 2020, after losing the Super Bowl, the Yorks, who have low standards, extended both of them, rewarded them for losing the Super Bowl. That sort of set the tone for this tenure. But this extension was different because Kyle got another 6-year extension, another 6-year deal from 2020 through 2025. But Lynch's new deal is only 5 years. So now there's a staggering situation going on where Shanahan, it seems to be a little bit more valued than Lynch, is here 1 year longer, just in case if the contracts happen to expire, the Niners can sort of see what life looks like with Shanahan and without Lynch. So that was 2020. Then 2023 comes along right before that season where they go to the Super Bowl, coming off the season where they went to the NFC Championship with Brock Purdy, who got injured, but the vibes were high in 2023. And so they got more extensions. This time, Lynch through 2026 and Shanahan through 2027. And the reason I wanted to point those things out is in each case, the Yorks made it a point to extend these two guys with multiple years left on the deal. At no point has Kyle or John been a lame duck. John got extended in 2020 with 3 years left on his deal. Then he got extended in 2023 with 2 seasons left on his deal. Now he has just 1 year left on his deal, and maybe he'll get an extension coming up, but it doesn't seem like it. I mean, these guys got extensions after making NFC Championship game appearances. In 2020, they made a Super Bowl appearance. In 2023, it was just after losing in the NFC Championship game. I don't think they're going to get extensions for losing in the divisional round. I don't think they will. I mean, they did some good things this year, but Niner fans can see what John Lynch's draft record is. The Niners are going to be a draft and develop team as long as they're paying Brock Purdy what they're paying him. And I think they might be wondering whether John Lynch is the right general manager for this era, the Brock Purdy making huge freaking bucks era. So I think there's a lot for John to prove. It'd be interesting. I mean, he's expensive. The Niners are paying a lot of money to Brock Purdy. Do they really want to keep an expensive face man who isn't good at drafting? It's possible they could let him go. He'll go back to Fox, make more money there, and they could replace him with someone who's half his age and half his salary. These are the Yorks we're talking about. It's not like Eddie, who spares no expense and wants to get the most expensive, best everything. This is Levi Stadium Yorks. So if I were John Lynch, I'd be nervous. And I wonder how much power he has left. If he says, I want to trade 3 first-round picks for Justin Jefferson, I could pull it off. will Jed and Parag say, we don't really want you mortgaging our future because you might not be a part of it? Parag says that's too much to give up for Justin Jefferson. I don't know. So it does seem like if the Niners, have a great year and go to the NFC Championship game, probably both of these guys get extensions. But failing that, if the Niners go 9-8, 10-7, go to the playoffs, losing the first round, losing the divisional round, don't take another step. Failing going to the NFC Championship game is what I'm trying to say. I don't think John Lynch comes back unless he has just an incredible draft this year. And although they lose in the playoffs, they have some young cornerstone foundational players that he drafted now. Because it doesn't seem like he's drafted any in the last 5 years, unless I don't know Alfred Collins takes an incredible leap or Michael Williams or Upton Stout. They look like solid players, but he's going to have to draft a real cornerstone guy for the first time since Nick Bosa. Because Debo and Ayuk don't count. And Purdy counts, but I'm talking like in the first 3 rounds. Show me that you can do it when you're trying to do it. You seem to get lucky sometimes, which is great. Luck is phenomenal. I love luck. Luck is great, but you haven't been super lucky recently. Big year for John Lynch. This could be his last year as the Niners general manager. And again, I don't see the Yorks firing him. They could just let the contract expire and say, you know what? He's been great. We want to retain him as the president of football operations, but we're going to bring in a new general manager. And maybe that's the right thing to do. To me, though, what DeBartolo would do is he wouldn't wait a year for the contract to expire. If you don't want John Lynch anymore, this is such a critical offseason. You want someone in here who can figure out the future of the team right now. If it's trade some players, if it's bring some guys in, you want someone who can make that decision this year, not next year. I feel like if you're down on the general manager and the drafting, make the move now. But the reason not to is like it's expensive. You're paying John Lynch, that contract's guaranteed. Maybe get some offsets if he works somewhere else, but he could take the year off, take all that money, and then you have to replace him, and the replacement isn't cheap. And now you're spending double or damn near. Is that what the Yorks want to do? I mean, they won't even put shade on Levi's. Just saying. So they might just let him leave, which is fine. But if I would rather get a guy now. I think this team. I think the Yorks got the memo from the rest of the league. No one wants to hire your front office guys. Josh Williams got some interviews, but didn't get hired. The guy in Minnesota, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, guess where he came from? The Niners. He was with the Niners from 2013 to 2019. Harbaugh brought him in. John and Kyle had him here. He's a Stanford guy. All these 49ers front office people are getting fired because the front office isn't good. And this whole operation has been really propped up by coaching for the last few years. I mean, I'm not a big Kyle Shanahan guy, but he can get you to a certain point, and he's proven it, and he could do it with, I guess, a pretty bad general manager. The fact that John Lynch hasn't gotten the extension yet is all you need to know. He's in trouble. Unless he gets the extension soon, and we don't know it. But the fact that they've made him wait and he's entering a lame duck year, it's something they've never done to him before because it's frankly kind of a slap in the face. Prove yourself. For 9 years, the Yorks have been really bent over backwards to show John and Kyle how appreciative they are of them. We love you. We love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, the 6-year deals in 2017, that was unprecedented. Coaches didn't used to get that. We know we're terrible. We know we messed up. We know we had Chip Kelly. We know we had 3 coaches in 3 years. We know we ran off Jim Harbaugh. We know we have a bad reputation. We want to put all that behind us and show you guys that we can rise up to your level for years. And I think that's over. And I wonder if it's because they have Brock Purdy now and they feel like, you know what? I mean, this happens to organizations, right? Like at one time, the Lacob was real appreciative to have Jerry West in his organization and all these smart people. And after a while, he thought he did it all himself. And now look at that team. Now, Jerry West did pass away, but I'm just saying, pushed him out beforehand. You can't keep running it back forever with no changes, especially if you stop going to NFC Championship games. And this team, they seem like they're not just going to be in the NFC. Maybe some Niner fans think, Bosa comes back, Warner comes back, they'll be in the NFC Championship game. But I think this team needs to make some major moves to get back there. And I don't know that John Lynch is the guy to do it. We'll see. He's got a lot of pressure on him. Bonus question. Will the 49ers extend Kyle Shanahan this year, next year? I mean, he has 2 years left on his deal, and every time he's had 3 years left, he's gotten an extension. He had 3 years left on his deal in 2020, 2020, 21, 22. He had 3 years left on his deal, and they extended him. Then he got to 2023. He had 2023, 24, 25 left on his deal. They extended him. They want to make sure that Kyle Shanahan understands that they love having him here and that if he were gone, some team would scoop him up in a heartbeat. Not anymore. Something has changed about these two guys, Lynch and Shanahan, standing in the organization. And I think a lot of it has to do with Brandon Ayuk. I think it does. They gave him all that money, and the organization was vehemently against it from the onset. I mean, I think the organization probably would have been okay giving Brandon Ayuk $25 million a year. So that's on them as well. It's not like they knew that he was going to do this. But I think the fact that Kyle and John somehow like overruled the bean counters on the money issue with Ayuk and then it blew up in their faces makes me kind of feel like those guys lost a lot of power in the organization. And if you cost the Yorks money, that's when you get in trouble. It's not Eddie. They don't like throwing money away. And they threw a lot of money away on Brandon Ayuk from their perspective. This is how the Yorks think, I think. Threw money away. Parag tried to tell him. Parag warned him. That's what Parag's there for. Been there for almost 30 years. He was against it. Kyle and John overruled Parag. It's the last time that's going to happen. So now Kyle's entering 2 years left on his contract. His handpicked GM is entering a lame duck year. Parag's going to be here for another 50 seasons. It's a lot of pressure on Kyle. So I don't think the personnel in the drafts, either if he is making the picks, I don't think he'll be held responsible for it. The Niners have worked really hard for us to not really know who makes these decisions because I think they want John to be the fall guy if it comes down to it. Because I think they look at Kyle as being more valuable to the organization, which of course he is. So still, if they fall short this year, and it's largely because their drafts still aren't good, that's why he'll get the next year, 2027, and John won't. But with Kyle, he still needs to prove that a few things. One, that this whole resurgence, this 2025, where they overachieved and won games, all these close games, that had to do with his maturation, his leadership, his growth, and not Robert Saleh's. Because I don't know for sure. I thought that was Kyle's best season as a head coach. Was it a coincidence that you had Robert Saleh coming off a head coaching stint? This was Robert Saleh 2.0, not the guy you had in 2018. This was a much more seasoned, experienced Robert Saleh who brought the special teams coordinator with him. Big reason you were so awful in 2024 is that special teams was at the worst in the league. Then it became the best in the league. Saleh made that happen. Now you get to keep Brant Boyer, thank goodness. But I want to see, does that carry over? Or does the team, the cohesiveness, all the stuff that was so good in 2025 that wasn't in 2024, does it just go back to that stuff without Saleh? That's the one thing we need to see in terms of Kyle's leadership and head coaching abilities. That's big. Because it looks like he's going to bring in Gus Bradley. Like, yikes. But then also his offense. Like, is he still cutting edge? Or is the league catching up to him? Or has the league already caught up to him? I mean, yeah, he did a good job against Lou Anarumo, the Colts DC. I mean, he put up some big numbers on Dennis Allen and the Bears DC, but like the top guys, Mike McDonald in particular, is killing him. And McDonald's in your division. And if it's been 2 games since you scored a touchdown against him, you haven't scored 20 points against this guy in the last 4 games. If it continues down this road next season, that could be grounds to fire or to let Kyle Shanahan go. Because if you don't have the answers to beat your main rival, that seems like one of the main reasons the Yorks moved on from Jim Harbaugh, right? If you remember that was about 11 years ago. They were riding high, but then all of a sudden it was clear that the Niners were the second best team in the NFC West, and that wasn't going to change. The Seahawks were younger than them. Their quarterback was better than the Niners quarterback. Their coach was better than the Niners coach. And every time they played each other, it seemed like the game was worse. Like the Niners were scoring 6 points against Seattle and then 3 points against Seattle. And I think the Yorks convinced themselves, like, well, we have to make a change. Otherwise, we're never going to get over the hump. So if Kyle Shanahan, the reason he stayed here for 10, going on 10 years is because they felt that they couldn't possibly get a better offensive play caller than him. Well, is that still the case? Because now it's looking like other people can figure out things to do against Seattle. Kyle hasn't figured it out. I mean, Sean McVay can do it. And doesn't it seem like there's more and more and more good play callers? And doesn't it seem like maybe the trend of having an offensive play caller as a head coach might be ending? Just like the trend of giving every quarterback $55 million a year just because is kind of ending. I think those days are over. I think we're seeing a pendulum shift back to defense. Anyway, again, I think this comes back to the Yorks and how much money they want to spend. Kyle Shanahan is expensive. He's very expensive. And I bet he expects to get a raise on his next extension, even if he doesn't win a Super Bowl. Do the Yorks want to give him that? I mean, I don't think the Yorks have high standards. This isn't an Eddie DeBartolo situation where they're like, we got to get over the hump. They're happy to make money and be in the mix. We know that. But running this team is becoming more and more and more and more expensive. It's much more expensive than it was 10 years ago. And they're spending $53 million a year on a quarterback, something they've never done before. I mean, up until Nick Bosa, they'd never spent $30 million a year on a player. Up until Nick Bosa, that was 3 years ago. Now they're spending more than 30 a year on him, more than 30 a year on Trent, more than 50 a year on Brock. I mean, it's a whole different landscape now. Are they going to do they want to keep spending this much on a coach if he can't win the Super Bowl? And fans are kind of open to the idea of him leaving. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they did this with Harbaugh, right? Harbaugh was good, but not quite good enough. And instead of moving on to someone who was better and more expensive with an even more expensive assistant coaching staff, they brought in Tom Sula. They went as cheap as possible, man. Look at Tom Sula's staff. It must have been dollar store NFL coaching. I mean, it was as cheap as possible. That's the scary thing about the Yorks. When they make these changes, they make them for all the wrong reasons. And I understand why Niner fans always push back on me when I say, hey, Kyle's not going to get it done. Because Niner fans, especially the younger ones, they know exactly who owns his team. And they know it's likely that if Shanahan leaves, they'll find someone much worse than him. That the fact that they got him is kind of lucky. Right place, right time type of thing. And frankly, they should have got Sean McVay instead. No other team will take Lynch as their GM if fired, says Cosmo. Simple as that. So why is he your GM? You could do better. All right, let's do some business. Do you think the Niners will extend Trent Williams? Trent Williams' contract is interesting. He got an extension a couple of years ago in 2024. It was a 3-year extension, 2024. It was like a restructure, 2024, 2025, 2026. So this is his last year under contract. His contract technically goes through 2029, but those are all void years. And there's going to be some salary cap penalties in 2027 when he's not on the team anymore. Well, assuming they don't extend him. The question is, should they extend him? And here's why that's a question. For the last 2 years, his cap number has been $21 million, which is reasonable for a Hall of Fame left tackle. Last year, I mean, he took up 6.3% of the Niners cap space. That's not too much. That's reasonable. This year, his cap number is $38.8 million. That's 12% of the cap. That's a lot for a quarterback. That's way too much. That's the second highest on the team after Nick Bosa. What should the 49ers do? Usually in a situation like this, they extend a guy. You got 1 year left on the deal. This cap number's outrageous. You extend him, you give him a little bit of a signing bonus, and that cap number goes way down. You spread out those responsibilities over a few years. But he's 38 and he can't play a full season. And when you get to the playoffs and it's time to really be your best, he's not going to be out there. Or if he is, he'll be hurt. So what do you do? I mean, I don't think there's anything they can do. I'm looking at it right here. If they try to cut him, they only save $4.6 million in cap space, and so I mean, there's no replacement for him. You don't save money by getting rid of him. You can't extend him. That would be a mistake, and I don't think it'd be something that Parag would let John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan do. Although I think Kyle Shanahan would probably want to extend Trent Williams till he's 45, but you can't. So now you have a season where you have your 38-year-old left tackle making more money than Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield for 15 games, maybe. And sure, the Niners have cap space, but this is the problem with how they've put their team together. It's way too. Forget the fact that they're spending $53 million a year on a quarterback. It's not. He's not getting that now, but they're planning for it. They're spending this much money on a 38-year-old left tackle who's in decline, and they're going to have to. They just have to live with this guy making 38, counting for 12% of their cap space this year. That's rough. And when he's on the field, it's like, all right, well, at least he plays a really important position. Is he worth 12%? No, but at least, he's a Hall of Famer playing a really important position. But when he's not out there, that's 12% of your cap. In the past, it was 6 or 7. Now it's 12. The Niners have to draft a left tackle this year, don't they? Don't they? Don't they have to plan for a future without Trent Williams, or are they just going to get there when it or not? I mean, if John Lynch thinks that he's not going to be here in 2027, would he even draft or make moves this offseason thinking about that? That's something. If you have a lame duck general manager, which I think the Niners do, I mean, by definition, he's a lame duck. He doesn't know if he's going to be here in 2027. So why would Lynch make any moves with 2027 in mind? Anyway, I don't think Trent Williams is getting an extension. I think this is a problem. I don't know why they structured the contract this way. You're not going to give him another deal. And he's not going to retire. He has so much money he can make this year. I mean, he has $22.2 million in base salary. He's going to make that money. Just saying. Corey Coleman says Niners are better than 80% of teams, but only the third best team in the division. Seattle has a Super Bowl roster and will have $77 million free agency. Go Hawks. Yeah, I mean, they are now. But what are they going to be in a few years? Are they still going to be so good when Christian McCaffrey's not here and George Kittle's not here and Trent Williams isn't here and it's just Brock? All day, every day, Kim says, if a QB can carry a team no matter if that team is injured or can't, if a quarterback can carry a team no matter if that team is injured or can't afford talent, then that quarterback is worth 50 plus. There's only like 4 or 5 who can do that. I would argue that there might be 0 who can do it. I mean, the Chiefs missed the playoffs this year. The Bills never go to the Super Bowl. The Ravens never go to the Super Bowl. The Bengals went once and can't even sniff the playoffs anymore since they paid him. I would argue that you just now you can do it with a quarterback making 45. I think it's really hard to do it with a quarterback making more than 50. And I know Mahomes doesn't even make 50. It's just really hard to do. You got to be really good at drafting, and I think no one's that good at drafting. Some people have hot runs like the Seahawks right now, but John Schneider went through a spell of like 5 years where he couldn't hit anything. Go back and look. Seahawks 2015 to 2020. Not a lot of hits in there. Maybe that was all Pete Carroll's fault. I don't know. But I think it's interesting. Every time the cap goes up, the money goes to the quarterbacks. It's a team sport. Patrick Mahomes is going to look kind of frumpy if his best receiver is Rashee Rice running a shallow cross all day. He looked a lot better with Tyreek Hill. That's not his fault. JDM 4087 says Niners need a fast wide receiver. Bring back Danny Gray, please. Zach Garza 42, member for 37 months, says keep it up, Grant. Appreciate you, big dog. Appreciate you too, big dog. All right. The title of the show is two players the Niners might trade this offseason. Every offseason, the Niners should ask themselves what Bill Walsh would do. What would Bill Walsh do? What would George Seifert do? What would John McVay do? What would Eddie D do? What would Carmen Policy do? Because they won 5 championships in 23 seasons with the team, Eddie. And the Niners, the Yorks are going on year 26 with none. So let's start asking some hard questions. Will the Niners trade Nick Bosa? The reason I ask, let's look at Nick Bosa's contract. First of all, he's coming off his 3rd ACL tear. That's a lot of ACL tears. He's going to be 29 years old this offseason. He's signed through 2028, 3 more years. His cap number, his guaranteed salary this year is $23 million. And he may not even play the whole season. I mean, what rush is he in to come back? He's signed through 2028. He's got to make sure this thing is fully recovered. Otherwise, he goes out there and looks like a shell of himself. That'll cost him money. So his cap number in 2026, Nick Bosa, is I can't even say it, dude. $41.6 million. $41 million. That's 12.9% of the cap. He'd be overpaid if he could play quarterback, but he can't. He plays defensive end and gives you about 9 sacks if he's healthy. Again, do you really think Nick Bosa is going to be full Nick Bosa this year? Maybe in 2027 when he's 30, when he's a full season removed from this injury and can have a full offseason. I know he was great. He tore his ACL in 2020, came back 2021, didn't have an offseason, was freaking incredible. That was 5 years ago. He was 24. Now he's 29. You really think he can do that? And that was back when he wasn't even making that much money. Now, $41 million a year. I think this would be a great year to trade Nick Bosa. And I know you wouldn't get really any cap. The thing that sucks about it is if they trade him before June 1, it costs them $10 million, almost $11 million in cap space. They lose cap space if they trade him before June 1. But you know what? I still do it because I don't think cap space matters as much. The cap is so big. The Niners have cap space. You can work around that. What you need is picks. And if you trade Bosa after June 1, then you're trading him for picks in 2027, and that doesn't help you for 2026. Maybe you could trade Bosa for Max Crosby straight up. That would be cool. I'd be into that. But how many first-round picks could you get if you trade Nick Bosa? Now, the problem with that is you're giving the picks to John Lynch right before you let John Lynch walk out the door. See, that's why I don't like keeping John Lynch as a lame duck general manager. I want to make moves. I want to trade Nick Bosa now. I want to trade Nick Bosa. I want an Oompa Loompa now, okay? I want to trade Nick Bosa now. I want to trade him for 2 first-round picks if I can, whatever I can get, a first-round pick. And I want to give those picks to a general manager who knows what to do with them. And it ain't John. Package them, move up for the next quarterback who went to North Dakota State, Iowa. So, no, the Niners probably won't. But what are they going to do? Like, what are their options? Okay, so you probably won't trade Nick Bosa because you don't have the guts and your general manager's a lame duck anyway, and he's not planning for the future. He's trying to save his job. That includes having Nick Bosa on the team. So what? You're just going to have Nick Bosa taking up almost 13% of your cap space this year? You can extend him with 3 years left on his contract before you even see what his knee looks like? It seems like you're stuck with Trent and with Nick Bosa. That sucks. Those extensions weren't great. How many extensions that the Niners have given out have been good? The Colton Kivitz one? I love that one. That was not hurting him. Shout out to Colton, man. Wonder if he's out wine tasting or duck hunting. I like that guy. Always been a fan. He knows that. Always said the nicest things about Colton. Handsome. Coordinated. I like Colton. I voted for him in the top 3 of the Niver Award because I thought he was so professional and available and cool, funny, handsome. Did I say handsome? I said handsome. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Colton. I would trade Nick Bosa. They won't. You could get a first-round pick for him. You could really start to build the type of young, nucleus that Seattle has. Seattle doesn't have any overpriced DN making $40 million a year, coming off a third ACL, who might give you 10 sacks. Like, are you kidding? Trade that to the Raiders, man. Whoever wants that can have them. But that would take real guts and foresight. The Niners, the only time the Niners have traded a player a little too soon because for whatever reason, it was Buckner. In the last 10 years, the only time they've ever done something like this, it was with Buckner. And it was for the wrong reasons. It wasn't because he was getting old. It wasn't because they're like, oh man, he's about to decline. Let's trade him now. No, it's for money. He wanted like $21 million a year back when that was a lot of money for a defensive tackle. And only a few guys were getting that much. Aaron Donald, Chris Jones. And they just on principle were like, no. We didn't draft you. We don't think that highly of you. We're not going to put you in that club. We're going to trade you to Indianapolis and sign Armstead for 18 instead. It was a money decision. Because that's how the Yorks operate. So do it now. Do it for Bosa. You traded Buckner. You got a first-round pick. You whiffed. Again, that's another reason not to trade Bosa is you just giving the pick to John and Kyle so they can take the next guy who had a good day or two at the Senior Bowl, but then left with the injury, and then the injury got red flagged at the combine, but the Niners preyed on it and decided it wasn't bad. Is that kind of their process? Silence says, dumb. No player can do it themselves. Ask Marino. What? What is that in reference to? I don't even remember what I said 3 minutes ago. You got to give me more than that. Oh, the quarterback thing. Yeah. No player can do it on their own. I agree. And when you give a quarterback $53 million a year, you're essentially saying that he can do it on his own. It's never been the case. Steve Young had an all-star team around him. Joe Montana had an all-star team around him. The Niners should trade Christian McCaffrey this offseason. They should. It's a no-brainer. It's so obvious. He's almost 30. He'll turn 30 in June. He's coming off a season with 450 touches. He missed no games. Historically, running backs who do that at his age don't play much the next year. You just gave out extensions to George Kittle and Fred Warner and saw them go down immediately. It's a violent, violent game. And you play next to a substation and it seems like your players spontaneously combust or their ligaments do. You should consider yourself extremely fortunate that Christian McCaffrey made it through this season and put up all those numbers and made it and created the impression that he's still in his prime, because he's not. You know it, and he knows it. We all know it. But what a season he had. Now's the time to trade him, because if you don't, it's very likely that you'll never have an opportunity to trade him again. This is it. Just had 2,000 yards from scrimmage or whatever and 17 touchdowns. Trade him. Whatever you can get. If you could get a second, that needs to happen today. I'd trade him for a third, because this is a run-first team. He's your bell cow running back. You can't run the ball. He's a good receiver and he provides matchup problems, but you can't run the ball with him. You're 30th out of 32 teams in yards per attempt, so which kills your play action passing game. He's got to go. $20 million a year for Christian McCaffrey. Trade him for a second, trade him for a third. Some team's going to want him, right? Some team will look at his stats and think, wow, that guy's still got it, even though he doesn't. I mean, no offense, but this is professional sports and it's a young man's game, and he's not a young man anymore. He just had the last good season he's going to have. Be honest. Be grateful that you got everything that you got from him, and don't push it. But they won't trade Christian McCaffrey because they love Christian McCaffrey. He's one of them. He's part of the family. He should retire with the 49ers, even though Joe Montana didn't retire with the 49ers. Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, Roger Craig, none of them retired with the 49ers, but Christian should. because he went to Stanford. I mean, Christian used to be the 49ers cheat code. It was a great trade. It was one of the best trades in franchise history. Acquiring him when they did was one of the best trades in franchise history. Trading him now would also be one of the best trades in franchise history. You could get some real value for a guy who's about to be done. And here's the evidence. You got to figure out a way to get past Seattle, right? You know who's not helping you do that? Christian. You know who they absolutely shut down every time they face him? Christian. So he doesn't make your offense explosive anymore. He's not fast. He turns your offense into a check down offense. You gotta call plays where the primary option is him running a little, lining up 6 yards in the backfield and then running up and running a little choice route. You got to call hell of those plays so he can gain 8 yards, which you want those 8 yards. But the whole offense has to be revolve around the check down. That's not going to win a Super Bowl. The check down offense that can't run the ball. Trade him, man. Some team is dumb enough to give up something for a 29-year-old running back who doesn't have much. Some team will do it. I'd like to see the Niners do something savvy for once. Only time you ever tried to do this was with Buckner, and you messed it up. He was 25. McCaffrey's 29. He's a running back. Come on. You got the substation. It's not going anywhere. RKS later. RK Slater says, bro, if you was GM, make me the best offer you can for Joe Burrow, assuming Bengals only take Mac and not Purdy. You can't trade for Burrow if you have Purdy, right? You'd have to trade Purdy. I don't think the Niners can trade. That's another reason the Niners shouldn't have extended Purdy. They can't make a deal for Burrow unless the Bengals want Purdy. It seems like if Burrow becomes available, the team that's going to make the most aggressive offer is Minnesota, who just fired their general manager for not being aggressive enough, taking paternity leave. Watch out for the Vikings. That team was really good a year ago. They won 14 games. They messed up their quarterback position. They fell back and won 9 games with really no competent quarterback. They're going to be right back in the mix in the NFC this year, assuming they're going to do something at quarterback. They're not going to run it back with JJ. Joseph Ernberg says this franchise is a laughingstock. I agree, Grant. The Camper Report, what's up? Benjamin says, who do we replace him with at running back? Too many needs. I mean, Jordan James, Isaac Guerrero, running backs are not hard to find. And again, how could you be worse? You just averaged 3.8 yards per carry this season. It couldn't get worse. If you gave all those carries to Jordan James, it might be better. Now, the check down game will suffer. But again, the check down should never be the primary option anyway. Good question, though, Benjamin. Beretta Buster says, trade CMC to the Broncos and let him retire on his dad's team. The NFL loves storylines. I love that. Hell yeah. Kenny, you heard. Kenny, you're hard? I don't even know. It says the Yorks need to give the team back to Eddie. Let's talk about it. So I love that this week has all been about Niners history, the rise of the 49ers. People don't know. This was a long time ago. The rise of the 49ers was a long time ago, but the transition of the 49ers from a DeBartolo team to a York team was a long time ago too. And I don't think people really know what happened. I mean, I don't even think I knew what happened. I think most people assume they know that Eddie D got in trouble with that riverboat gambling thing. He was, convicted of a felony. He was suspended by the league. He turned the team over to his sister. And then she gave the team to her husband, who seems to have given the team to his son, but it still seems to be run by the dad. So I always assumed that the league kind of just forced the sale, and that Eddie had no choice and the Yorks had no choice. And it was just, well, we got it. I'm not allowed to own the team anymore. So let's keep it in the family. And the Yorks were like reluctantly taking it. Well, if we must, good sir, Eddie, and we'll give it to Jed if we're forced to do this. But I'm looking at Eddie DeBartolo's Wikipedia page, and you go down to the end, the financial and legal troubles, and this is what they write: DeBartolo could have returned to the team, but instead ceded control. Hold on, DeBartolo was fined by the NFL and barred from active control of the Niners for a year. That's it. It was a temporary suspension. DeBartolo could have returned to the team, but instead ceded control of the family to his sister, Denise, in 2000 in return for other parts of the family business empire. In spite of the public perception that the transfer has been forced by the league, DeBartolo confirms it was voluntary. This is what he said. Truthfully, the team really wasn't taken away from me. I think it's been a misnomer for many, many years. Commissioner Tagliabue did obviously suspend me, but as I was going through negotiations with my family, and we went through these negotiations and we went through them with lawyers. That sounds familial and fun and nice. Obviously, and with a judge in Akron, it did not come down to that team being taken. It came down to a decision that had to be made, whether or not I wanted the Niners or whether or not I wanted to take the other part of the company. So he was forced to choose. And I figured at that time, and my sister Denise York, who was involved totally, as was her family. I decided in that meeting in Akron, Ohio, that I thought it would be best that I took the other side and my tenure with the Niners would end then and there. I don't know if that story's ever been told. It may have been, it may have not been, but it really was a choice. I figured there was more to do with my life at that time. I had succeeded and done a lot with the Niners. It meant the world to me, but I figured with my daughters and them getting older, and obviously with all of us getting older and having grandchildren at the time, and them planning on families, that it would be best for me to do what was best and be a good grandfather and be a good husband and dad and do it and do what I want to do and maybe travel a little bit and spend more time with my family. So, summary. The league didn't take the team from Eddie. Something happened in a negotiation with lawyers and judges between family members. What does that mean? I don't know. I'd like some clarification on that. I have no idea what that means. It kind of sounds like York took the team from Eddie? It does sound like the Yorks could give the team back to Eddie right now. It sounds like, it's a fact, right? The Yorks could give the team back to Eddie. They could have given him back to Eddie in 2001, but they didn't. And Eddie says he had to choose between the team and other assets, and he chose the other assets. Okay. Sounds like John York presented him with a pretty rough bargain, pretty tough negotiation. I don't know. I always assumed the Yorks were just like had to get the team because Paul Tagliabue said so, but I don't know. Sounds like that's not necessarily the case. I'd like some clarification, but it definitely, from what I'm reading here, Eddie isn't barred from owning the team. It's just that the Yorks own it now. And they moved the team to Santa Clara, and they built that awful stadium that no one likes. It's too expensive and too hot. And it's been 26 years, and they haven't won anything. And now Sam Darnold and the Seahawks are on the verge of winning the Super Bowl on his monstrosity of a stadium. So look, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Eddie says like he just wanted to give the team away. Yeah, I didn't want to own it anymore. I could have taken it back. I just didn't feel like owning it anymore. So I just gave it over to my brother-in-law, who I love so dearly. Doesn't it sound like Hamlet? It sounds like Hamlet to me. You had Eddie running the Denmark, and then all of a sudden it's his brother-in-law. And Hamlet is his brother. I'm just saying. Sounds like something is rotten in Denmark. And Denmark is Santa Clara, not San Francisco. Something is definitely rotten in Denmark. And so what I would say, John, respectfully, give the team back to your brother-in-law. It's time. It's not your team. It's Eddie's team. He built this, not you. You don't deserve this team. Give it back. Everyone will love you if you give it back to Eddie. He'll bring the team back to San Francisco. It belongs to him. You are not the rightful owner of this franchise. Give it back. It's not too late. Because if you don't give it back, your legacy with this franchise will not be positive. You took the team from Eddie and you won nothing. And you moved the team to Santa Clara so Sam Darnold and the Seahawks could win a Super Bowl there. That's your legacy. Give it back. No one wants you to own this team. Everyone wants it to be Eddie. Eddie and Carmen need to run this team. You guys had it for 26 years. It was never rightfully yours. Enough is enough. Do the right thing. Of course, this will never happen. This is now a $9 billion franchise, and they're not going to hand it back over to Eddie, but they should. It doesn't belong to you, John. It's bigger than you. What you've done to this organization is a desecration. Levi's Stadium, Santa Clara, give it back. I implore you. All right, let's do some prize picks. He could give it back today. Why not? It's the right thing to do. You didn't want it to begin with, right? You were just watching it for a little while he was in trouble. It's not yours. Prize picks. All right. Should we do the NFL again? I feel like I've been doing the Super Bowl all week. How about someone else? How about basketball players that I don't know that well? Hold on, let me finalize this last one. I've been having some finalization issues. Give it back. If you see John York at a game, just tell him, hey, man, give it back. Give it back. It's not yours. It's not yours. All right. Warriors? Can we get some Warriors? Today? Do they play? All right. How about Luka Doncic going up against the Knicks? 48.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think he's a fairly good pick because he's consistent. Look at that. He gets the ball all the time. Does he play defense? No. Does that matter in prize picks? No, not at all. Michael Porter, 23.5 points. Damn, he's on a heater playing for Brooklyn against, I'm going to say more because that's Michael Porter for. He's a shooter, and shooters shoot. That's what I heard. Nikola Jokic, 24.5 points. I mean, obviously, dude, it's Nikola Jokic. Look at his face. Does he look like a guy who's playing around? No, not in the least. Cade Cunningham, Luka Doncic, already got you. A lot of Luka. Jalen Brunson, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How about free throw attempts? Free throws made. 8.5. Oh, easy. More. The free throw merchant. LeBron James, man, he's older than me. 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. 21 points. Oh, I'm going to say less, dude. It's over, LeBron. It's over. Let it go, just like you got to let that hairline go. Let it go, let it go. Flexing it, hopefully, submitting it. Someone asked me on the Cohn phone yesterday what my favorite slow jam of all time was, and I thought about it, and I think my answer is Foolish by Ashanti. That's got to be the best one. I think it's the best, but I could be wrong. No, I'm not. I'm always right. Give it back. Give it back. Give it back. Wouldn't that be nice? I feel like when we talk about the 49ers, like what they should do, what should they change? Should they get a new head coach? Should they get a new general manager? Should they get a new quarterback? They got to get Eddie. Until they right that wrong, as long as they have this, bizarro owner, they got bizarro 49ers in the wrong city with the wrong owner and the wrong stadium. Until they right those wrongs, it's never going to get fixed. They have angered the football gods. You have taken a team that doesn't belong to you, and you need to give it back. That is what we've learned. You move the team next to a substation, man. What are you doing? Give it back. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Frank Tom Ocean, member for 34 months. John, I hope you're watching. There's a lot of Johns in that organization. Which John am I talking about? I don't even know anymore. See you guys.